Welcome back to Introduction to Synthesizers, a free class that will teach you all of the skills you need to start working with synths. Today, we're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to take a look at one of the most powerful and versatile tools available in most synths, which is the pattern sequencer. Together, we will learn what pattern sequencers are, how they work, and of course, how you can use them to give your synths more interesting rhythmic and musical identities. So, with that, let's get started. A pattern sequencer is very similar to an LFO in concept, but just with a much longer and more customizable shape or pattern. They allow you to pick any parameter of your synth and add motion that follows longer phrases of modulation rather than short looped wave shapes. Pattern sequencers are useful tools for adding motion and musicality to a synth. You can use them to create a morphing personality or sound without having to manually control multiple different parameters. But before we dive into all of that, let's first listen to the basic sound I've made here, which is a nice pulsing pad/bass sound. Cool, right? Now, as you would expect, pattern sequencers have many parameters or controls in common with other time-based modulators like envelopes and LFOs. Destination helps us determine which parameter of your synth is being modulated, and we can set it up just like an envelope or LFO. For example, I'm going to take this performer right here, I'm going to click it, I'm going to drag it to my amp level, and immediately we see the pattern start playing, even before I've actually added a pattern. Next, modulation amount helps define the full range of change that your sequencer is working with. To keep things simple, let's set this to the full range of volume, so that my minimum value is silence, my maximum value is max volume. My rate controls how quickly my pattern sequencer moves through the pattern. Here we can see a small little sequencer that's 8 bars long, divided into quarter notes. Most pattern sequencers will sync to the tempo of your DAW. Some of them allow you to have a non-synced tempo, like with an LFO, but that's not as common. What's more common is a control similar to here in Massive X, where I can determine the speed based off my tempo. In this case, my speed is my tempo. If I turn it to the right, it suddenly becomes twice as fast, 3 times as fast, 4 times as fast. If I go to the left, it goes half as fast as my tempo, 1/3 the speed of my tempo. You get the idea. And then finally, trigger reset determines whether my pattern sticks to the beat or resets each time I play a new note. Again, like an LFO. Generally speaking, trigger reset on is useful for rhythmic elements, while off is more interesting for sustaining elements like pads. However, there are several new controls we need to be familiar with before we can start making actual patterns. And the first two are what we will call step count and per step value. You see, in a pattern sequencer, a step is a rhythmic value. The most common are 8th notes or 16th notes, but most pattern sequencers will come with an option for you to control how long each individual step lasts. For example, here in Massive X, I get to decide whether a single step lasts a quarter note, an 8th note, or even triplets and other similar values. Cool, right? Step count refers to the number of different steps covered by your patterns. In other words, how long do you want your pattern to be? If you consider the length of your steps, you can actually think musically in terms of beats and measures. How long do you want your pattern to last? 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, 8? It's all up to you and the capabilities of your synth. But once you know that, the per step value refers to how much modulation is applied per each step. This is where you get to fully customize the individual patterns you create in your sequencer. For example, let's swap sounds real quick. Here we have the nice little pad from the previous video. If we apply our pattern sequencer to pitch, we can use our per step amount to create an arpeggiator type effect. Set my length to just 2 bars, and we hear the pattern start right away. If we set our pattern sequencer to amp volume like we just did earlier, set destination, full range of what we're working with, let's have it go to silence. We can create interesting rhythmic ideas based on our shapes. Let's make this one just 1 bar long. That's cool. I forgot to take the pitch off, but I like the way that sounded. Regardless, the final parameter to play around with is playback mode, which allows you to control whether your pattern sequencer loops like an LFO or follows more of a one and done approach, like an envelope. Loop mode on. So as long as I hold the note, it just keeps playing. Or one shot, which goes through the pattern and then stops wherever I left it. Cool, right? When setting up a pattern sequencer, I generally recommend the following workflow. First, start with your destination in mind. In this case, we have this pad. I'm gonna set my pattern sequencer to my frequency cutoff. I just think it'd be cool to create a sound that becomes brighter and darker as the pattern continues. Then, make sure your rate is taken care of. I'm just gonna keep it to a 1-to-1 ratio so that my pattern moves as quickly as my tempo does. But whether you're syncing to the tempo or using a multiple of it, just find a pace that works for you before deciding on your count. In this case, I personally like working with 4-bar or 8-bar length ideas. So for now, let's work with an 8-bar idea. Next, we are going to determine our amount so that we know what kind of range we're working with before playing around. I'm just gonna pick a random value here, click and drive, and there we go. But whatever you're manipulating, pick a good range you want to work with before playing around with per step values and deciding which playback mode is most useful and how trigger reset can come into the picture. Right here, the idea I have in mind is to create a pad that gets gradually brighter and then gradually darker as the phrase continues on. So I'm going to pick a high point. I'm going to click and drag my shape to get a bit more of a rounded quality. Since this is a pad, I think keeping trigger reset off and keeping things looped are going to work best, and then I simply play. Cool, right? Now, while playing around with the pattern sequencer really is one of the most versatile and open-ended tools available in most synthesizers, it can be helpful to have a few options to play around with when practicing and familiarizing yourself with tools available to you. So, with that in mind, I'm going to recommend 3 common uses for pattern sequencers that you can practice with. Number 1 is exactly what I just did, creating a morphing pad by attaching your destination to something like the filter cutoff, the FM amount, the distortion amount, panning, or even the different oscillator mix percentages. Generally, anything that you want to create a gradual shifting sound throughout. Option number 2 is to take a sustaining synth, and by setting the destination to pitch, you can create an interesting arpeggio pattern. And finally, the third approach is to create interesting rhythmic ideas by setting your destination to amp level and then creating a gating style effect of turning your volume on or off in specific rhythmic patterns. Regardless of how you apply them, pattern sequencers can be used in any situation that you would like to use an envelope or an LFO while maintaining much more control over the actual patterns themselves. But before we end this video, we need to take a moment to address how this step can fit into your general workflow. First, start by deciding which type of synth you're trying to create: a lead, pluck, pad, bass, non-pitch percussion, or sound effect. With that in mind, you can set up your amp envelope and decide whether you want your synth to be monophonic or polyphonic. Next, experiment with things like oscillator configurations, oscillator sync, unison mode, frequency modulation, ring modulation, etc., all to make the type of core sound you're looking for, while making small tweaks to your amp envelope as necessary before experimenting with your filters. With your initial raw sound setup, you can then begin experimenting with how different modulators like envelope generators, LFOs, and of course pattern sequencers can all manipulate various parameters to create more personality and color, including applying legato and or portamento mode to your synths. Then begin considering the impact of effects like delay, reverb, chorusing, or distortion, as well as how you can apply noise generators if you haven't already, before figuring out how key tracking and velocity can be used to give your sound a more personalized, expressive nature. By using everything we've learned so far in the series, you are able to create a whole host of interesting and unique sounds. So with that taken care of, we have reached the end of another video, my friends. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Today, we have added the following items to your new synth checklist. If you find yourself working with a new synth and you can identify these simple tools, you will be that much closer to mastering your new instrument. If you want a copy of the official full-length checklist of everything we've covered so far, you can find it in the accompanying workbook, which you can purchase on my website, tabletopcomposer.com. A special thank you goes to my patrons and channel members for making videos like this one possible. You can use the affiliate link in the description of this video to grab a copy of any of the synths used in these videos so far and follow along with the rest of the series. So until next time, my friends, keep studying, keep working hard, and keep writing new music. I will see you in the next video.